The Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The book is Dave Sherapan.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Together, they are the Bostonian versus the book.
You covered! You covered 12! I covered!
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry. Here's Dave Sherapan and Matt Perrault.
And here we go.
What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Thursday afternoon episode of the Bostonian versus the Book. My name's Matt Perrault. We are live on our YouTube channel at Boston versus the Book, and we are also replayed each and every weeknight on Sports Grid Television. Don't forget about the X and the Twitter, folks. Same handle, at Boston versus the Book. Today on the program, we're going to be joined by Ed Fang, Ed, thepowerrank.com. He will join us today to talk about week 3 of the NFL. We're here today. We are here tomorrow. And then on Saturday, we are headed back to Las Vegas. Monday's program will be back in the normal confines that you guys have been accustomed to seeing me, as I'll be back in Las Vegas. I cannot wait to get back and get started on the rehab to try to be able to use my right arm again at some point in the near future. So at the moment, it's still just everything being done by my left hand in terms of the show and everything else. So if you see something funky, if you see something wrong, I apologize. I've tried my best to limit as many things and mistakes as I could possibly do so, and I really appreciate it. One thing I do want to say to you guys at the top, and you know, I was watching some things earlier today and watching some shows earlier today, and I want to say a huge thank you to you guys who are here right at the top of the show. I mean, I can't run through all of you, but the names are really familiar, and people who are in the chat, you know who I'm talking about. The other cool thing is we have started this crossover partnership with betting pros for my show, The Daily Juice, and this show, The Bostonian versus the Book. And there is some real cool synergy going back and forth between new people to both programs. So like people who haven't heard of the Daily Juice before are now going and finding the Daily Juice. For people who haven't heard of Bostonian versus the Book before are coming over. I know Cole, I know you're one of the new guys that have come on over from the Juice to be here. There's another recruit that I haven't seen before in the chat. So it's really good. Hey, an old timer, an OG, TP, are you with me back? I appreciate you guys. It's cool. I mean, the energy, the community that we have built, I want you guys to know how thankful I really am for all of it. And it's really, really cool to see this at the start of football season, because I did not know how this was going to go. I did not know if there would be an audience. The show is different. And as we all await, and I hopefully will be able to get back to Vegas and find out more details and give you guys more of an update as to what Dave is going through and how Dave is doing, that it's really cool. I just want to say thank you here at the top to each and every one of you guys who are here, who watch, who listen, who are part of both communities, but it's pretty much around content that I am producing. So it means the world to me. I just want everyone to understand that. And if I could shake every one of your hand, well, I can't do it with my right hand, but I could do it with my left hand and say thank you. So it's a virtual handshake and a verbal thank you for being here, for being a part of the brigade, for being a part of the Daily Juice, and being just around and giving me the most valuable thing that you have. The most valuable thing you have is time. That's the most valuable thing that you guys can offer, and I really do appreciate it. Just want to let you guys know that it means a ton to me. Before we get to Ed Fang, I'm gonna do a news of the industry in the opening line, just because I have to ask the question. There's a question I have to ask. Where are the sports leagues when it comes to what's going on with Kalshi? Where are the sports leagues? Because they have been so silent. Opening line. The opening line being presented by Huel. If you guys have not checked them out, please do so. Try Huel, 15% off for new customers using the code BVB. Fuel your best performance with Huel today. That is human fuel, Huel. Huel. It is not a protein shake. This is a full-blown meal. If you're looking for something different, if you're looking for a meal replacement, these guys have got great tasting and really, really healthy stuff for you to dive into. 40 grams of protein per meal, 27 vitamins and minerals. Vegan is vegan. It is gluten-free. It is animal-free. This has minimum packaging to limit the impact on the environment, and it's just a really filling drink. Check it out, Huel.com. 15% off today using the code BVB. Huel, HUEL.com/BVB. So we have spent the better part of 2 years, maybe year and a half, ever since Kalshi came on board during the election cycle in 2024. And I was walking down the Las Vegas Strip. I was walking with Amanda, walking down the Las Vegas Strip, and I looked up and I saw an advertisement in the middle of the strip that wasn't subtle. It was huge. It had like 5 football field sized billboards, digital billboards that were showing the markets to bet on the election. And I was thinking, like, wow, this is really, they don't care. Like, this is illegal. Like, you can't take bets on the election. Can you? Is that allowed? And then it was like, okay, well, we'll let the legal folks work that out. It's not that big of a deal. And then Kalshi pivoted, and Kalshi decided, well, you know what? We're not just going to be taking bets on elections, and we're not just going to go ahead and take bets on things that sports books aren't taking bets on. We're now going to offer markets for sports, and we're going to offer unique markets for sports. And so there's a crazy, like, ridiculous things like, will Shohei Ohtani be crowned the king of Japan? Like just like off the wall stuff that made no sense. So no one really paid that much attention to it. Then Kalshi pivoted again, and they became more aggressive, and they started to test the guardrails a bit more. And now they're not afraid of anybody. If you remember, we've talked about their advertisements for a while, and this is, examples of what they have done. Make money on March Madness, legal in Texas. Make money on March Madness, legal in California. Betting on sketchy illegal sites? Nah. Betting on Kalshi, the first app for, quote, legal sports betting in all 50 states. I'm not doctoring that up. Those are actual ads that Kalshi ran in March of this year. Those are real. That's not fake. That's on your screen right there. That is a real, non-doctored advertisement that Kalshi has put up. They're claiming you can now bet, use that word, bet on sports in all 50 states. Bet. They're not hiding anything. They're not afraid of anything, of any repercussion, of any blowback whatsoever from the federal government. And now they're going right to the NFL. Kalshi is partnering with Fox. They've hired Mark Sanchez, who sat in a car and interviewed Justin Herbert to get his prediction for the Super Bowl. Again, we don't know if this is legal or not for them to be doing this, but they don't care. They're going to continue to push the envelope until somebody tells them they have to stop. And now, amazingly enough, it's not going to be up to the leagues, or excuse me, up to the government to tell these guys to stop. I think it's going to have to be the leagues. And the reason why is that Kalshi this week has announced and has filed paperwork to offer prop betting in all 50 states around the NFL. They are offering markets for passing, attempts, yards, touchdowns, rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, receiving touchdowns, combined yards from scrimmage, defensive tackles, sacks, interceptions, pass defense, special teams, field goals made, field goals attempted, extra points made, extra points attempted, punts, punt yards, kick return, return touchdowns, all being offered by Kalshi. You can spin this any way you want. You can come up with any language, with any semantical fight that you want to make to say that these guys do not have to abide by the state rules and the state laws, saying they are only to be governed by the CFTC, and that is it. And no right-thinking, normal American is going to say, yeah, that's not sports betting. Because Kalshi calls it sports betting. And now they're offering prop betting. And this is wild. Dustin Gauker, great writer, from his newsletter yesterday, as he writes, I am sure many of you know this, but it bears repeating. Kalshi doesn't care if your state bans certain types of bets. That includes betting on the outcome of college games in places where it may be limited. Your state is getting betting by Kalshi's prediction market, whether the state wants it or not, with no asterisks and no except fors. If you're a policymaker or a regulator or a league sitting around wringing your hands about what sports books can offer, none of that applies to Kalshi. Nor does it apply, it should be noted, to Robinhood, Crypto.com, or whoever else wants to launch nationwide sports betting in the coming weeks and months. If you remember, the state of Ohio was trying to ban all sports betting. Prop betting. Mike DeWine, the governor, said that prop betting was hurting the athletes who played sports in the state of Ohio. Now, they've since backed off of that, and they've kind of pared it down to be simply just about micro markets, which, again, I'll reiterate, I'm in favor of. But this story and the lack of unified voices coming down from the sports leagues is crazy to me. Where are the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NCAA? Where are they when it comes to what's going on with Kalshi? Where is the NFL to come in and say, Justin Herbert, you can't be associating with Kalshi? Like, until this gets worked out in the courts, you can't be seen doing videos with Mark Sanchez in Fox. Let me refresh your memory as to the comments that were made about prop betting from Major League Baseball, from the NBA, from Charlie Baker. Dustin Gauker's great newsletter highlights this. Rob Manfred, we've been on prop bets from the very beginning. When we lobby in states, there's always certain types of bets that we have lobbied against. I mean, the first pitch of the game. We really don't want that available as a prop bet. It can be available at Kalshi. From the NBA, protecting the integrity of our game is paramount, and we believe reasonable limitations on certain prop bets should be given due consideration. There is zero with Kalshi. Charlie Baker, from the president of the NCAA, sports betting issues are on a rise across the country, with prop bets continuing to threaten the integrity in competition and leading to student athletes and professional athletes getting harassed. The NCAA has been working with states to deal with these threats, and many are responding by banning college prop bets, none of which is happening on Kalshi. You can argue that the legality of prediction markets versus prop betting till you're blue in the face. But you cannot argue that the leagues are looking extremely hypocritical right now with their silence about what is being offered at Kalshi, because there is no regulation. States have regulatory bodies. States have partnered with certain integrity services to monitor books, to monitor betting in their state. So when a market is somewhat questionable, call it that, if a market is questionable, a flag goes up. A flag goes up, and people then have to go and have a conversation. Hey, what happened with this market? What happened with the betting? Was that irregular? How did that happen? Who was betting that? Where was that betting? Where'd that bet come from? Know your customer. Does Kalshi have to operate in any world in which know your customer exists? Because as far as I can tell, the answer would be no. It's only if the CFTC would raise their hand. The same CFTC, which does not have a current chairman, the same CFTC that is or has been gutted, has seen layoffs, big layoffs come down. And the same CFTC, which is in charge of thousands and thousands of transactions every single day in the financial markets. Sports betting right now is a little tiny piece of everything the CFTC's got to pay attention to. But that little tiny piece is millions and millions of dollars every day. Who's watching? Who's paying attention? While this is all going on and the legal fights are happening in Massachusetts, in Nevada, in New Jersey, in Maryland, and all of these court cases are all being run around, and Kalshi is fighting fronts. You know, you have Sarah Slane, who is from the American Gaming Association, who is out here every single day banging the drum of legality and how everyone has it wrong, that sports prediction markets are perfectly fine and what Kalshi is doing is totally legal. Sure. On the other side, you have the guy who has Sarah Slane's own old job at the American Gaming Association coming out and saying sports prediction marketplaces, it's sports betting, and it should not be a 50-state solution. It should be left up to the states like it was supposed to have been left up to the states because it is sports gambling. I don't know enough to tell you what the outcome is going to be. I just know that the fact that the leagues are not talking about this is a problem. If the leagues are going to be so hell-bent at exposing the dangers of prop betting, I don't understand how the leagues are not hell-bent at taking out Kalshi or other sports prediction marketplaces because the protections are not there. They simply do not exist. And the leagues were so hell-bent on certain things about, hey, prop betting is dangerous. Well, Kalshi's going to open it up to football and then basketball and hockey and everything else until they are a full-blown book. A full-blown book that is going to be here. And so this rapid expansion of what is happening in the prediction marketplace is a huge issue for the sports leagues that right now, up to this point, they've been allowed to just ignore it. They've been allowed to just turn a blind eye and not have to pay attention. And it's unbelievable. Like, it is absolutely unbelievable for me to watch the way this is going down. And the court cases will play out. The legality, the governments, the governors, all that stuff eventually will have its day. But I'll ask it again. Where are the leagues? Where are those people that were calling sports gambling the death of sports in America, who then decided to take the money from the books and then bring it back up when it came to prop betting, saying, okay, we're okay with sports gambling, but prop betting, yeah, we're concerned about prop betting and what this is. And then we watch all the scandals that have popped in baseball, in basketball, in football around prop betting. And they don't have an opinion on what Kalshi or Polymarket or Crypto.com or anyone else that comes into this space. There's no opinion. There's no issue. Yikes. There needs to be a conversation from the sport leagues very, very soon about what's going on in the sports prediction marketplace. All right, let's talk about week 3. NFL. It starts tonight with the Buffalo Bills hosting the Miami Dolphins, and then we get into Sunday. Ed Fang, OurRank.com, joining us here on the Bostonian versus the Book. Ed, good to see you again, man. Appreciate the time. How are you?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right, so let's get right into it with what's happening here in the NFL, because look, you love numbers and you look at trends and you look at, analyzing the market. Week 1 was all unders. Week 2 was all overs. Is there anything we can take from the first 2 weeks that will help us going into week 3?
The thing that I'm really looking at is just the overreaction in the market, right? I mean, do we really think Daniel Jones is a future Hall of Famer? Certainly look like that over 2 games, although I will remind everyone that the New Orleans Saints offense looked equally as good through 2 games last year. I do feel like there's a lot of overreaction, and I feel like we're going to get into some of those games during this segment. But I actually have some data to kind of back that up. Now, Matt, I'm normally a little reluctant to kind of talk about my preseason wisdom of crowds model because it really kind of sounds dumb on the surface of it. I'm supposed to be this data guy, and I'm resorting to these subjective power rankings and aggregating them together. But it's a really powerful model, and I think it sheds some light on some of this overreaction. Let's throw out week 1 because those markets are up for forever, and the model's like basically 50-50. Okay. So weeks 2 through 6. I've got data back since 2014. If the prediction differs from the closing market by a point or more, it is 56.7% against the closing spread. And I know that sounds crazy, and I'm only mentioning this because I know your audience is sophisticated. Yeah, you can handle it. But I think that just points to we're always playing this game of what we think about our priors versus how we should change off that. And I think what this says is that in those first weeks of the NFL season, let's tend to stick to our priors. And we can talk about specific examples of that.
So the Saints are going to suck. Teams like that. Don't overreact and go, oh my gosh, they look somewhat competent in week 1 and week 2. Right. They're still going to be one of the worst teams. The Browns, took the Bengals to the brink in week 1, but the Browns are still going to be bad. So is that what you're saying?
Basically, yeah. I mean, we can talk about Miami if we want to get into the Thursday night game.
Let's go into Miami. Yep.
I think that's the perfect example, right? They got Daniel Jones week 1, which was quite a surprise. Maybe he's good. Maybe they're not. They lost at home to New England last week, and I just don't think this New England team is very good. So they look kind of bad right now. And they're going to a Buffalo team that is 2-0. Obviously, had that crazy Sunday night win. I think there's a little bit of an overreaction here. My number puts this at Buffalo by about 11. This morning, you can still grab plus 12.5. It's one of these things that kind of makes you want to throw up because Miami hasn't really looked good. But I do think that's the sharp side of this game. If you want to bet it, I think Miami is bad. I think preseason I had them as a bottom 10 team, but I don't think they're bottom 3 NFL bad. And it's tough to kind of talk about this game because there's a genuine possibility that I look like an idiot talking about Miami plus 12.5. But I do think that's the sharp side, and I think other people would agree with that.
I don't think you're crazy at all. I teased it down. I pulled it from 11.5 down to 5.5 and took Buffalo because I think the Buffalo Bills will win by 7 points. I'm not sure they win by 14, 17, 21 points. And look, the Jets are the Jets, and they lost Justin Fields during that game in week number 2. And frankly, the Bills and the Dolphins tend to play tight football games when the weather is not a factor. And it's going to be, it's September in Buffalo. It's not like Miami, but it's not cold weather tonight. And so you're going to get good conditions for the passing attack. And frankly, Miami has their backs against the wall. Professional money has bought this thing to 14 and taken the dog, saying, hey, we're not going to get beat by 13. We'll take 14 and then take Miami and pay the juice on it. So I don't think you're wrong at all on this. I know it's tough from a model perspective to ever factor this in, but when a team is 0-2 on the road and the coach might be, on the way out, right? How do you handicap that from a model perspective about who, with motivation being obviously at an all-time high for the Dolphins? Because if they start 0-3, their year is basically over.
I don't do that. That's something that I would consider above and beyond whatever my model says. I think some people do try to do that. They use that as kind of their situational analysis. I do think that's a good point. I also think there's a possibility that maybe these guys quit on McDaniel and he's gone tomorrow morning. So, it's just the fun of, making these early season guesses about what's going on in the NFL.
Let's talk about the Chiefs.
One other thing. Buffalo's missing Ed Oliver, who's been the defensive tackle that's been unbelievable this season. I think that matters too.
Yeah, look, I think betting the over is a good idea as well. I've teased it down to 43.5 and bet the over there. There's some data that suggests that the Bills, after they win by double digits the previous week, they're 8-0 to the over the following week. So they obviously score a lot of points. They blow out the team that they're playing in week 2. In week 3, they tend to score and allow points as well. The Ravens put up 40 on them. The Dolphins could very well put up 28, 30 points tonight. It could be a 40-30 type game. It could be just a ridiculous back and forth battle. I don't see the under, although there has been money today bet to the under. It's come down from 50 to 49, 49 and a half at certain books. I don't really agree with that, but I get the point that, look, the Dolphins may be in this game late. It won't stun me if we're talking about 7 to 10 point win here by the Bills. I just can't. Can you see any scenario where the Dolphins win the game?
Sure. I can definitely see a scenario. Look, I actually had these Bills a little bit overrated in the preseason. I think their secondary is kind of in shambles right now. Mm-hmm. They're missing the cornerback Harrison that they thought was going to play a role. They're starting old men like Tre'Davious White. Christian Benford was amazing last year. I think he had an injury, hasn't been as good this year. And I think their safeties suck. So, yeah, I mean, is there, maybe a couple of Josh Allen turnovers? I think this Miami offense, we've seen this core set be good. So, yeah, I do think there's a possibility.
So the Dolphins are 0-2, but so are the Chiefs. Chiefs are 0-2. It looks different than the Dolphins or the Browns or the Saints or somebody else who's 0-2 when you see the KC Chiefs and their talent. From a modeling perspective and a numbers perspective, are the Chiefs in trouble, or is this just a nature of the schedule, playing a tough divisional rival in Brazil and coming back and facing a very tough opponent in the Eagles?
Yeah, I think Kansas City is going to be fine. Obviously, you hate, not to have, so with some of the injuries that they're dealing with. I don't know why I can't think of the wide receiver, the second-year wide receiver. Worthy's out right now.
In Rice, Rasheed Rice.
Yeah, and Rice is going to be out for a little while. We knew that, but not having Worthy right now, I think it matters. But at the end of the day, look, they didn't play well against the Los Angeles Chargers team that has looked pretty good through 2 weeks. And situationally, they beat Philadelphia last week. Travis Kelce had a ball that he's going to catch for a touchdown. I mean, certainly 3 or 4 years ago, 95%. And instead it goes off his hand and Philadelphia returns it 60, 70 yards or whatever. I mean, that's like a 10-point play that really tipped that game. So I really do feel like they outplayed Philadelphia last week. And yeah, no, I don't think it's time to worry at all. I mean, this is Patrick Mahomes, this is Andy Reid. All the best teams go, through tough phases like this. And yeah, I mean, the Giants are another team that's kind of been up and down, right? They look terrible week 1, and then the offense completely explodes out of nowhere in week 2, even though they didn't end up getting the win. They're probably hungry for a win, but again, this is one of these things that, I think I had, I like Kansas City in this game. Let me find my number. I have Kansas City by more than the touchdown, 7.3 points in this game. Okay. I sent out -5.5 to members. I don't know if that's still out there. I know it's
been 6. Yeah, it's been 5.5 or 6. I teased it down, took the Chiefs at a pick. So, sure. I mean, it's pretty much everybody doing the same thing. There are 3 teams that are seeing the vast majority of the teaser action, and the Packers being 1, Seattle being the 2nd, and the Chiefs being the 3rd. So I just think that I will be stunned if the Chiefs open up 0-3 on the year.
Right.
Just because of the fact that the Broncos are playing the Chargers. And if the Chargers win that game, they'd be 3-0, and the Chiefs would be 0-3.
Right.
That puts KC in almost a wild card scenario where that's all they've got. They're playing for the wild card. After 3 weeks, they're already playing for the wild card spot. If that were to happen, I know we're playing 17 games, but that's a really tough thing to overcome because it's a 3-0 record in the division for the Chargers on top of being 3-0 on the season. So that's why I like the Chiefs. Where are you on the Giants? That's a very difficult team to model, obviously, because week 1, no offense. Week 2, all offense. Which one's the real Giant team?
I mean, I gotta say, I have no idea, right? Let's let a couple more games play out. What is Russell Wilson gonna really look like? I mean, look, when you think about back to that week 1 game, and they're playing a Washington defense that I think is terrible. I mean, that secondary is bad.
Yeah,
and they couldn't do anything. And then obviously the exact opposite happens against what is probably a better defense in Dallas. So, yeah, I mean, this is again one. Let's stick to what we had in the preseason and let a couple more games play out.
one game that I am going back and forth on trying to figure out, and it's difficult because we don't know about Jaden Daniels, but after watching the Raiders beat the Patriots in week 1 and then come back home to Vegas and watch them play a Charger team that I like, but the quarterback Geno Smith throws a pick on the first play. I know you love your pick bets. So
Right.
I'm curious about Geno Smith betting against him or betting on him to throw picks the rest of the way. But what'd you make of the Raiders' performance, and what do you make them on going back on the road, East Coast, back home, now back to the East Coast to play Washington, who may or may not have Jaden Daniels?
Right. I mean, I think the market suggests that Jaden Daniels is not playing in this game.
Agreed.
I made so Ben Fox at Yahoo did some really nice work asking bookmakers what their adjustment would be from a starter down to the replacement.
Marcus Mariota. Yep.
Yeah, so down to Marcus Mariota, and he aggregated these opinions and said it was going to be a 3.8, about a 4-point adjustment to Mariota, and that puts my number. After I put that in my number, I have Washington by 3.2 points here, so pretty close to the market of 3.5. So I don't really have an opinion on this game. Obviously, everything changes if Daniels can come back. It looks like he may be able to practice Friday, but. Yeah, I mean, look, I think this Washington offense is going to be great when they have Daniels. I mean, a ton of question marks about the defense.
Me too.
Like they brought Jonathan Jones in to play cornerback, and now he's on IR. It seems like that's certainly not good. So I think they got a lot of questions on that side of the ball, and I feel like there's a lot of these teams, right, that like have a lot of potential on offense, and the defense looks terrible. The Miamis. The Washingtons that are potentially just over teams. Maybe that's the way to bet them. I don't have numbers on that necessarily yet, but I think there's a lot of teams that strike me as over teams.
So Ed, the 2-part question on the Eagles. So they've got the Rams coming in at home. This is not a January game. This is a September game. So the weather will be fine for Los Angeles here for this one. But are the Eagles your number 1 power ranked team at the moment? And number 2, how do you feel about them against a tough Rams team that probably pretty angry about what happened last year? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, were they really supposed to win last year?
No.
I feel like you went into Philly, you covered, you're 47-year-old Matt Stafford. You got to be somewhat happy with yourself, right? That was the game that, I think Saquon broke off one. That was kind of the difference in that game.
Yeah. The weather, once the weather came in, they were toast. Once the snow came, that was it for the Rams. They couldn't play in it.
Yeah. Thank you for making me look, Matt. But I actually have Baltimore ahead of Philadelphia at the top of my my member NFL rankings right now. Okay. I think there's some question marks about what happened in that Baltimore game last week, but I don't think the score was indicative of what happened there. But I have moved them. My model has moved them above Philadelphia. But look, I'm not ready to give up on this Philadelphia team. I mean, I have some question marks, why is Jalen Hurts not throwing the ball deep? Everything seems short. I track the percentage of throws that go 10 plus air yards down the field, and he's by far the lowest in the NFL right now. Wow. So what's going on there?
Where's Mahomes on that list?
Let us take a look.
Because he's got to be right down there with them, right? I mean, in terms of 6 yards per attempt through the air is what they've.
Yeah, I think Mahomes wasn't as crazy low as I thought. Oh, he is. Okay, so 25%. So the NFL average is about 34% this year. Okay. So Mahomes at 25, that's certainly low, but that's not the 18% of Jalen Hurts.
Wow, 18%.
And I think it was 12 or 13 week 1.
Yeah.
Week 1 was kind of frustrating for me in the sense that I had Hurts to throw a pick, and then he just didn't throw the ball deep.
He didn't throw.
Right? I mean, he didn't throw, and he didn't throw the ball deep.
Yeah.
You're less likely to throw picks if you're not chucking it downfield to AJ Brown.
Right. True.
And so Mahomes is low. And Jordan Love at the top of the league with 51% of his passes going. Oh man, he's by far, because Sam Darnold's second at 42%, 10 plus air yards.
Sam Darnold. So am I right to say that you might be looking at a interception bet on Sam Darnold this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, if they price it wrong, look, it's not hard for books to get this price right. Get it pretty close to 50-50, right? It's when they make these mistakes and they're saying under a half interception plus 150 for someone that's close to NFL average. That's where you really find value. Had two of those last week, one on Justin Herbert, one on Kyler Murray. The one on Murray won, the one on Herbert didn't, but Herbert did put the ball in a bunch of dangerous situations there. So it really depends on what happens with the market. I haven't quite figured it out. There's a lot of times, I mean, there's some obvious situation in which a quarterback throws a lot of interceptions the previous couple of weeks, and you see the market shift, and you can get some value there. Yeah, to be honest, Matt, I actually have not worked at this percentage of passes deep into the model. So there's a little bit of and defense matters there too. So I'm trying to kind of subjectively handicap that right now, just looking at the numbers. But maybe that'll work our way into the model by later in the season.
Interesting. Okay, one more game. The Patriots are hosting the Steelers. They are they're home dogs to a Steeler team that has looked okay through the first 2 weeks of the season. It's early, so no nicks and bumps and bruises to Aaron Rodgers. And for the most part, DK Metcalf has been a pretty good weapon. They aren't running the ball all that effectively, but that's kind of par for the course for the Steelers. What does your model have this game? Because whenever I see home dogs, it's my team, so I tend to be biased. But when I see home dogs in the NFL, I tend to pay attention.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I basically have a pick here. Pittsburgh by 0.3 points. So, look, these are both two teams that I thought were overrated coming into the season. Pittsburgh being overrated because Mike Tomlin obviously never has a losing season. So that's going to project into the future. And then they come out and they win this week one game with an offensive explosion in week one. But it was kind of weird because Aaron Rodgers had a bunch of touchdowns, but they really lost the yardage battle. It seemed like all their yardage came on 3 touchdown drives, and then they got a fourth one off of kind of a short field. So it wasn't like Aaron Rodgers played all that well. He didn't particularly play all that well in the underlying metrics last week. And then this Pittsburgh defense is kind of baffling right now. They haven't been good. That's the side of the ball that I thought would be good because I do feel like they have the best defensive line in football. But now Alex Highsmith is out or questionable or out in this game. I mean, he's a really important piece opposite TJ Watt. And then, I already talked, I don't think this New England team is very good. There's been some, the offense hasn't been bad through a couple weeks, but I'm not excited in general about that team. I do feel like Drake May still has a lot to prove. This is probably definitely a stay away for me, just with all those uncertainties. Anything you like this weekend? Anything that has your eye? Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've kind of like the fact that my numbers like 2 Super Bowl favorites against the spread in Philadelphia and Kansas City are definitely my favorite bets, right? I mean, I think it's just an example of like it's weird, right? I mean, the Eagles are 2-0, and the market's kind of moving against them, and we talked about why there are some concerns there, but like, look, they still got a great defense. They have 2 of the best young corners in football, like. They're going to be just fine. So those are probably my 2 favorite bets of the week. So we have a lot of Midwest people in the chat, Ed, and they're all up in arms about your take on the Colts. They think the Colts are going to go 3-0 against the Titans this coming weekend. It's hard to argue, though, right? I mean, the Colts should be 3-0, right? Yeah. Look, it's Daniel Jones. Like I would love, man. We I was trying to make this point this preseason is like. Daniel Jones is 28 years old, right? And like he's been around okay. He's been okay in his performance, right? When you look at a lot of his stuff, he's at NFL average, and he's a perfectly NFL. Like when I say NFL average, it's kind of like a compliment. Like it kind of sounds like a slap. Like no, middle of the road. He doesn't stink. Really freaking good to be average. To be NFL average, right? Like to like the Kirk Cousins of the world, right? You got to be really good to consistently. Be in that, whatever, like 11 to 20 range of NFL quarterbacks, like year after year. And when Daniel Jones wasn't hurt, he was fine. He was doing that, right? And like, could he make a leap? Another guy, Baker Mayfield, pretty average numbers for a long time, and then just kind of blew up last year in terms of some of the advanced metrics that I look at. Could that happen to Daniel Jones? For sure. Is it really nice to have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield? For sure, right? And I mean, could this happen? Yes, it could. But let's wait more than 2 weeks. I think again, the cautionary tale, right, of New Orleans last year, just amazing for 2 weeks. I think someone pointed out that they were 3-point favorites over Philly week 3 last year.
I remember that. Yep. And then no.
No. So is that Indy?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But I mean, this is why we love this stuff, right? Like this is why it's so much fun to talk NFL right now. That's why I think that's why we love our jobs, right, Matt?
Absolutely. And if folks want to find more information about you, the Power Rank, where can they go and do so?
Yeah, check it out at thepowerrank.com. The easiest places to sign up for the free email newsletter. 5 Nugget Saturday is my curated list of tips every Saturday if you're looking for some sharp sports betting action. Not just me, other people as well. So check out thepowerrank.com.
Ed, great stuff. Thank you for coming on. Let's do it again soon, all right?
Sounds good. Thanks to you so much, Matt.
That is Ed Fang, the Power Rank, thepowerrank.com, joining us here on the Bostonian versus the Book. Great to get him on talking week 3 of the NFL. You guys are funny. Hey, he's not wrong. I mean, Daniel Jones, you have to be one of the best. Think about it. If you're middle of the road in the NFL as a quarterback, there's 32 jobs in the NFL. If you're middle of the road, you're in the top 15 in the world. That's pretty damn good. It just means you're not like the elite. You're not Mahomes. You're not on the side of being the best of the best of the best, right? I'm going to be very surprised if they don't curb stomp the Titans. The Titans stink. That number being 4.5, it's creeping up. DraftKings has gone to 4.5 this morning. FanDuel's at 4.5 this morning. ESPN bets at 4.5 this morning. Those are pretty square books. So I'd be very concerned that, Hard Rock is at 3.5. Circa's at 4. So is Superbook. Caesar's at 4. So the consensus number right now is 4, opened at 3.5. So the first move to the Colts, it most likely is the right move. Like that's the right side to go ahead and jump into. Let's talk about what happened last night in baseball because there's a lot of cool things to get into. All right, let's talk about the Brewers for a second because I'm concerned. The Brewers tonight, Priester's on the mound. So you know what we're doing, right? Priester's pitching. When Priester pitches, we go ahead and bet the Brewers, period. Okay, it's not even a question. We bet the Brewers. But it's getting a little expensive, not going to lie. It is a really interesting look because of the arms and how healthy the Brewers have been for most of the year. Trevor McGill, it came out yesterday that the team is unsure as to when he will come back, their all-star closer. The thought was he was going to be back for the playoffs. If he's not back for the playoffs, that's a massive loss for that team. They need him to be available for the playoffs. So watch out for McGill not being healthy, not being there. The Brewers also put Jose Quintana on the IL 15-day injury list with a left calf strain yesterday. He was hurt in the 4th inning of Sunday's game against the Cardinals. So he was supposed to be number 3, number 4 starter on this team heading into the postseason. So that you never want to have that happen. I mean, you never want to have an injury like this going into the postseason, given where the Brewers are. So the good news for the Brewers is that they have, pretty much wrapped up the division. Now, the Cubs clinched yesterday. The Brewers are 5 games up on the Cubs. So yes, we're about 10, 11 games left in the division. So it's not wrapped up as of yet, but the Brewers should very well win the division, but they're fighting with the Phillies for the number 1 seed overall in that first round bye. So 93-59 versus 91-62. The question is going to be, the Phillies lost last night. Are the Phillies going to be looking to get healthy and get some guys some experience, or are they going to chase after that number 1 seed? The Brewers may not be able to simply because, they got to keep the Cubs at bay. And the Cubs, while they clinched a playoff spot, would love to catch them here coming down the stretch. So I would expect the Brewers to be very competitive and try their hardest and go all the way to the end here, not just get the 1 seed, but to make sure that the Cubs do not catch them. So not what you want. you want McGill back at some point, and it sounds like he may miss the opening series of the playoffs for the Milwaukee Brewers. That's not good for me and my 27-1 ticket. Someone in the chat saying, how funny would it be if the Guardians caught the Tigers? Well, the Guardians, that's not 16 in a row. That's 6 in a row. Excuse me. That would be amazing. If they'd won 16 games in a row, that would be awesome. They've won 6 games in a row, and they are now 4.5 games back of the Tigers, who they play today. Now, the Red Sox are currently losing 3-0 to the A's in the first inning. That is not good news for my Red Sox. I'm wearing the Red Sox hat because I wanted them to play well today, but Brian Bayo is getting wrecked. No outs, 3 runs in, and no outs recorded by Brian Bayo for the Red Sox. The Tigers are up 1-0 in the bottom of the second inning on Cleveland right now. So, and they've got second and third and nobody out. So the Tigers are probably saying enough is enough. We're not going to let the Guardians catch us, but it's a 4.5 game lead. It's 4 games in the loss column, and the Guardians are making life difficult for the Red Sox. If Boston loses this game today, the Guardians, if they win, now they're down, but if they were to win, they'd only be a game and a half back of the Red Sox. So like, whoa. This all of a sudden got very, very real for Boston with the Cleveland Guardians being red freaking hot, charging down the pike, 9-1 over their last 10, 6 consecutive wins. And we'll see if it continues. But the Tigers now lead it 1-0 with 1 out, runners on the corners in the bottom of the second inning in Detroit. But for the Red Sox, they better have brought their hitting shoes because that's not good. Speaking of the Red Sox, how about Trevor Story? He's 31 for 31 in steals in 2025. Like, that is a ridiculous mark. Trevor Story being 31 for 31 on steal attempts. He's second in the expansion era since 1961, behind Vince Coleman, who began the 1989 season going 44 for 44 for stolen bases. Trevor Story, he's going to get votes in the MVP race, which is ridiculous, given him a guy who couldn't stay healthy. Red Sox fans were just constantly wrecking the guy, saying he couldn't, he wasn't dependable. He was making too much money. Story's been tremendous. He's been tremendous. JC from KC, how hilarious would it be if the Guardians took the Central? Our Detroit friend says no. Easy now. What are we doing? I would agree. And yeah, Ish, I'm with you. Tight playoff races at the end of the year are super fun. Scoreboard watching is really fun. It's just hard to bet it. It's hard to bet. In particular on days like today, which is a Thursday, which is a getaway day instead of like a Wednesday. It's a Thursday getaway day. We have the Red Sox and the A's. That game now goes to the bottom of the first. So luckily Bayo got out of it, but he gave up 3 runs. Bottom second, 1-0 Tigers. It's top third, 1-0 Mets over the Padres. That's a big game for the Padres. And bases loaded, 2 outs for the Tampa Bay Rays up against Toronto. And Toronto doesn't really care all that much. Toronto right now is sitting there 4 games up on the Yankees, 89-63. The Yankees are 85-67. They've won 2 games in a row. Red Sox, if they were to lose today and the Yankees win, the Yankees could pretty much salt this away in terms of feeling like they're going to be good to go here. The Mariners are battling with the Astros. Either the Astros will be a wild card team or the Mariners will be a wild card team. We're currently, going back and forth here because of the 1 game in hand that the Astros have over the Mariners. 84-69 for Houston, 83-69 for the Mariners. 3 straight wins for Houston. They swept the Rangers, and that pretty much ended the Rangers. Any thoughts of the Rangers winning the division? They're 5 games back. They're 4.5 games back of the wild card, of the third wild card spot as well. So that's a bad news. That's bad news as well for the Rangers. Equally, I'm trying to get the Rangers to win 86 games. And that's probably dead because the Rangers are 79-74. They've lost 4 consecutive games, and they need to win. For me, they need to win 7 more games. That's probably not going to happen, given there's 8 games left in the baseball season. So, hold on, that's not right. How many games left for the Rangers? The Rangers have, 3. They have 9 games left. So there's 9 games left in the season. So they have to go 7-2. down the stretch. So this was awful. I needed them to win one game against Houston. They took 2 or 3 from New York. They lost all 3 games against the Astros. They have Miami and the Twins at home. So the hope is that the Rangers could somehow, go 6-1 in some form or fashion there. And then we get, or 5-1 rather. And then we get a 2 out of 3 on the road against Cleveland, because maybe Cleveland's been eliminated. But yeah, the Rangers, they were hot, and then they cooled off in a really rough period of time. Let's talk Ohtani. Sorry, taking a drink. Ohtani might be a reliever. Where have we heard this before? Where have we heard this before? Oh, that's right. I've been talking about this forever. I hate this. I hate this because this could have been planned. The Dodgers could have had a plan in place for Ohtani to be a reliever. In fact, Ohtani could very well have been a closer all this year. Ohtani could have been a massive weapon out of the bullpen in high leverage situations. But because of Ohtani's desire to be a starting pitcher, and because he is such a creature of habit, the Dodgers were not trying to upset the apple cart for a guy who they have committed a ton of money to. But now Dave Roberts said, quote, I know that we're going to be talking about it. I think the one thing you can say, though, is if we use him once every 7 days, every 8 days, every 9 days, 11 days in between his last start, so to think that that's feasible for a guy to just coming off of what he's done last year or didn't do last year, and then put him in a role, that's very unique because he's a very methodical, disciplined, routine-driven person. The pen is complete opposite, right? You potentially could be taking on risk, and we've come this far, certainly the kid with kid gloves and managing. Okay, sure, but are you trying to win another World Series? Ohtani could have been used in different ways. They could have had him ready to go. They could have done different things with Ohtani. And yet now they're stuck because, yes, he is a creature of habit. And yes, it is difficult to go ahead and turn around and say to a guy, I need you to go be in the bullpen. You got to go get 3 outs for us right now. If you haven't done it before, that's really hard. That's a really difficult ask. So I hate this because they should have been doing this all season long. They should have told Ohtani that he was going to be a reliever this year. They should not have had him be a starter or really an opener because they wanted to handle him with kid gloves and they wanted to be so careful with him because, they've committed all this money to him. He's hit 50 home runs. The guy's a machine. It's unbelievable. Just make him a hitter then. Like, stop playing around with all this. I know he's a great weapon, but he can be a closer. He has to go out into the outfield and warm up. I understand all of that. I get it, but you have to build up in the off season. You could help him get into some level of routine so he could be a closer. Look, what he is doing is incredible. The two-way player thing is amazing. It's he's the best player of my lifetime. I'm 48 years old. I've never seen anyone be better at the game of baseball at the major league level than Shohei Ohtani. So I get why they're trying to use all these different things, but you've made him a starting pitcher. Keep him as a damn starting pitcher. Don't move him to the bullpen. This would be stupid. Like, don't do this. He's not ready for this. It's a high leverage situation in which he's not mentally and physically ready for it. You could have had him ready, but you didn't get him ready. So keep him as a starter. He's your best hitter. He's your best starter. Have him start the darn game. Whatever game that is, game 1, game 2, game 3, whatever it is, have him start the game. Do not put him in the bullpen. Don't do that. I think that's a huge mistake from the Dodgers. And remember, I was all in on him being a closer. I think he should be a closer. But whoa, now we're doing it now. Hey, by the way, props to the Lynx for what they did last night. It was pretty cool. The Lynx were able to come back down big, huge come from behind victory. It's the first come from behind victory of this for the Lynx in their history. Before last night for Minnesota, They had a record of 0-76 when they trailed by 14 or more points in the fourth quarter of a WNBA game. They came back and won the game 75-74 last night, so they're now 1-76 for coming back, and they knocked out the Valkyries to advance to the second round of the WNBA playoffs, the semifinals. Valkyries played really well. They shot the ball well, but hell of a fourth quarter by Minnesota to come back and win that. So congrats coming up to them. Let's make some bets for tonight. Time for just the picks for us here today. I've told you how I'm playing the game tonight for Thursday night. I am doing a same game teaser. I'm taking the Bills -5.5. I think they win the game, but I'm not sure they win the game by double digits. We talked to Adam Bjorn from Bet Chris Arizona yesterday, and he told us that the pro money is on 13, but buying it up to 14. It's too many points on a Thursday night in a divisional game, even after the Bills blew out the Jets. I tend to agree. I think the Bills win the game. I just don't think they win the game going away like everybody else. And I gave you that stat earlier today, but there's a good shot that this game is going to be high scoring. There's a real good shot that we're going to see offense. The Bills are 8-0 to the over since January of 23, when they're at home and they won their previous game by at least 10 points. So just bet the over. You don't want to tease it. 49.5. That's pretty much the market right now. There are some DraftKings is 49.5. Everybody else is at 50 or 50.5. Circa and Superbook in Vegas have now popped to 50.5. So there is big money coming on the over at the moment here from the professional money, and the total it's going the other way from a side. It's 11 at Superbook. So they're gobbling up all the big prices. Hard Rock Bet is still at 12, and DraftKings is at 12.5. So if you like the dog, if you want to take the Dolphins tonight, DraftKings has the best price at plus 12.5. I think the Bills win. I don't think the Bills cover. I'm going to pull it down to 5.5 and go over 43.5 for a 2-leg same game teaser, 6-point teaser, -125, -120, depending on what book. Shop around and get the best price. To baseball, the Brewers. So Quinn Priester hasn't started a game in which the Brewers lost that game since the 24th of May. No pitcher has made me as much money this year as Quinn Priester. At some point, Quinn Priester is going to lose, but the last 4 times he has started, he is 4-0 on the run line. So the Brewers have been just crushing people with Priester on the mound, and the Angels are throwing a lefty in Kikuchi. The Brewers mash lefties. It's plus 113, plus 115, depending on where you look at it. I think the Brewers run line is a real good way. If you don't want to do the run line, however, you can take money line and parlay that with Vegas tonight in the WNBA playoffs, because I cannot see Vegas getting knocked out by Seattle. They had won 17 games in a row. They lost game 2. They had a lead late and they blew it. They took care of Seattle by double digits in game 1. I think Vegas wins the game relatively easily tonight to advance to the semifinals, but Brewers money line, Vegas money line is a -110 bet. If you want to jump in on that and not bet, or take the plus money. If you want to take the plus money, you can do that with the Brewers on the run line up against the Angels. Prop bet time. For me, for the BvB prop bet of the day, I'm going with game theory here and taking James Cook over 15.5 carries tonight. So let's just say the numbers are right. Let's say it's a high-scoring game and the Bills are up 30-10 type of situation. I think they're going to run the ball, and James Cook gets the football a ton. I think they're going to look to bleed clock and just get in, get out, get victories, and move the sticks as much as possible. I think James Cook gets the football a lot tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and lean on that over from a carry perspective for the Buffalo Bills running back. And the Patriots ran the ball relatively effectively last week at Miami, and I think the same thing happens here tonight for James Cook and the Bills running the football on the Miami Dolphins. If you guys are watching live on YouTube, Twitter, don't move, more. Instagram too. We got you. I see you. Don't worry. We got more. If you're watching on Sports Grid on the replay, thank you for being here. Tomorrow is a Fight Song Friday. Hope to see you all back. Same place, same time. Thanks to Ed Fang from thepowerrank.com for stopping on by. Bonus time starts now. Interesting. Brewers money line and Bills money line plus 118. Don't hate that. Winless underdogs on Thursday Night Football are 15-1-1 ATS. Huh. So let's think about that. How many times? That has to be all early in the year, right? Because how often do you see a winless team play on Thursday Night Football? That would be, week 1, 2, 3, right? Most times, because the Thursday night, it's all before week 7. There's the caveat, before week 7. Okay, that makes more sense. So the problem with that, JC, why that doesn't, the number is great, but you can understand why that would be, because in week 1, if you lose, you're 0-1, and then that's a winless team. And then you win in week 2, you cover. In week 3, like the Dolphins, your backs are against the wall. Your year is over. 0-2, we know what 0-2 is. 0-2 sucks, right? You go 0-2 in the NFL and you have like a 15% chance of making the postseason. You go 0-3 in the NFL and your year is over. You're essentially playing for draft position after that, whether it be a 16-game or a 17-game schedule. It doesn't really matter. So that's, I could see that being, I'm not questioning the stat. I get it. I get why that happened, why we're seeing something like that, just because of the nature of the NFL. And yeah, LL, it's before week 7. So yeah, it includes week 1 and week 2 for that. So again, I don't hate the play. If you like the Dolphins, I don't hate taking the 12.5. I really don't. I just want to pull it down below a touchdown. I like it better pulling it below 6, just in case you get overtime. But I want 5.5. 6.5 is not great, but it's not horrible. But you can pull this down to 5.5. There's 11s. You can pull it down to 5. There's 11s in the market right now for the game. So the pro money's coming in on the Dolphins. Will that happen? Okay. Can you see the Bills killing them? Yes. Could I see a garbage time Bills touchdown to cover? I could. I could. So to me, I think there's a lot of things at work here that could lead towards the Bills cover, but also a Dolphins cover. That's why I'm teasing it. I would be floored if the Bills lose this game tonight. Floored. Like, it just, crazier things have happened. Okay. And again, if the Dolphins win, okay, we haven't had the what the fuck game yet. Okay, we haven't had that yet. And that could be tonight. It could 100% be tonight. And if you're looking at survivors, this is why you do not play a survivor involving a divisional opponent. Okay, you're going to lay double digits. You're going to think the Buffalo Bills are going to curb stop the Dolphins, and it's going to be just a disaster for Miami, right? Well, these are professional football players, and they're playing for their jobs. Because remember, if Mike McDaniel gets fired, there's no guarantee the new coach will keep any one of these guys. Anyone. The offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, running backs, wide receivers. Who knows? New coach, new regime, probably new general manager. So your whole life is up in the air. So whether it's always better the enemy right, versus the one you don't. So I think you've got to be careful here with the idea that the Dolphin game is going to be just an open and shut case for the Buffalo Bills. I'm not sold on that. And you heard Ed Fang talk about it a lot, saying that there is a legitimate shot, like there's a legit shot there could be a loss here for the Bills. Like I asked him, like, can you see a situation where there's a win outright for the Dolphins? He said, yes. Yes, there is a situation where he could see an outright victory for the Dolphins. So that's wild to me. That's really going to be pretty interesting to watch and see how this whole thing plays out. By the way, just quickly back on this Shohei Ohtani thing, with him potentially being a reliever for the Dolphins, for the Dodgers. How many more things are you going to ask this guy to do? Because if you remember the way that Dave Roberts talked about Ohtani heading into the season, it was like, he's not pitching. He's not pitching until August. He's not pitching until September. And then June came around and he was like, yeah, he's going to start. And we were like, wait, before the All-Star break? Ohtani's going to pitch before the All-Star break. And now he's floating the idea that Ohtani could be a reliever. Oh my, Bills by 70? Oh my. Oh my gosh, I don't know. 70. I just don't trust that the Dodgers have a real plan. I think it's whatever Ohtani tells them he wants to do. I think if Ohtani says, I want to pitch out of the bullpen, I think Ohtani pitches out of the bullpen. I think Ohtani says, I want to start game one, I think he starts game one. Again, it's not like a WBC, because if it's the WBC, I think if Ohtani had a chance to close out the World Series and it was game 7 and he went into the pen to go warm up, to come in to get the final 3 outs to win the World Series, like he did with the World Baseball Classic, I think everyone, yes, 100%. Like, that's not unheard of by any means. You do that all the time, where you take your best pitcher, get them ready, and then put them on the mound to close out a World Series championship. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Ohtani pitching in a closing role in game 2 or game 3 of the wild card round. I don't know. I just don't see it. K-Bro, what? I'm going to put the whole bankroll on the Aces and be done with it tonight? Oh my. Again, don't hate it. I'm not sure I'm putting the whole bankroll on it. I don't know what your bankroll is, but I don't know how much I'm putting on a bankroll spot. But in terms of like a dump all-in spot, look, sometimes in sports gambling, and I am a victim of not doing this. I've actually kicked myself because I'm a pretty disciplined person when it comes to gambling, and I'm pretty disciplined when it comes to my unit size and what I'm betting and the prices I'm betting. I'm pretty disciplined. But when you have the best of it, like when you're playing blackjack or you're playing poker and you know you have the best of it, that's when you have to push all in. Like, that's when you have to take advantage. And tonight would be a spot that if we're back on here tomorrow and the WNBA playoffs and the Vegas Aces, who won 17 games in a row to get the 2 seed at home at Michelob Ultra Arena, an arena in which they blew out Seattle in game 1, if they were to lose game 3 and have their season be ended, I don't know what to tell you. I'd be stunned. I'd be straight stunned on this. So, Red Sox have gotten one back. It's 3-1 A's now as we head to the bottom of the 2nd inning. It's 1-1 now. Guardians have tied up the Tigers. That game in the top of the 4th inning with 1 out. It is, solo shot by Noel by the Guardians. It's 2-1 Mets leading the Padres. That game in the bottom of the 3rd inning. It's 3-0 now. Tampa Bay leading Toronto in that one, but that's not that big of a deal. Other games still to come. Seattle and KC. That game gets starting at 2:00 Eastern time, 2:10 Eastern time. Then Miami and Colorado. Then the Cubs and the Reds get going. Later tonight, we've got the Brewers and the Angels, who get going coming up on that. So, good stuff. Favorite thing about today. For me, this is our super fun time of the year. Favorite thing about today is that we've got football on tonight, but we have baseball all day. So we have scoreboard watching. I'm going to shut this down and I'm going to go watch the Red Sox and the A's play and see if the Red Sox can bounce back here down 3-1. It's a game they really do need to win. They can't afford to drop any of these games. In particular, if the Guardians win today and the Red Sox lose, that leads a game and a half. And there's a lot of young kids for the Red Sox that will start to really sweat it out. I mean, last night, Boston had to come from behind on the A's. They got to extra innings. They walked it off in the 10th, 5-4. But that was a game in which it was a white knuckle ride for Boston to win that game yesterday. So need it badly from a Red Sox perspective. They need to come back here, and it's not insurmountable. It's 3-1, but they need to win this game. And Boston's 46-31 at home, so they've been very good at Fenway Park. But after the A's the A's series, they go on the road to Tampa tomorrow, the road to Toronto next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then they're home for the Tigers for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is not easy. This was the series that they would need to win 2 of 3, and they lost 2-1 on Tuesday. They won 5-4 last night. They need to come from behind and win this game here today against the A's and take 2 of 3. Then they need to go to Tampa and take at minimum 2 of 3 against Tampa, and then it's Toronto. And it's a huge series for Boston, and they've got Crochet in the finale up against Max Scherzer. That's going to be a hell of a run, man. So this is a lot of fun. I'm really excited on this. It's a ton of fun to watch baseball and then watch football coming up here for tonight. So Bills to win but not cover tonight. Aces win. You could do a 3-leg Bills, Brewers, and Aces moneyline parlay if you want. You can do that as well if you want to jump into on that. Will Detroit pull Scooble after this inning? How many innings? Scooble with that side injury, maybe. I maybe it's possible. Yeah, that's possible that it might happen. So we'll see. Throw the Mariners in there as well against the Royals. Fading your own team. Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll see. We're back tomorrow. It's a Fight Song Friday. Remember, if you want to suggest a fight song, you guys can just go to our website, thebvbshow.com, or you can send a text at 702-570-8255, and I'll do my best. I'm still operating with only one arm, so I'll try my best to get you guys the fight song for tomorrow. Fight Song Friday, full breakdown of the college football weekend coming up tomorrow, 1:00 Eastern time. Hope to see you all back here in the live chat on YouTube. I'm Matt Perrault. Fight Song Friday tomorrow for a Friday episode of the Bostonian versus the Book.